Howdy folks, and welcome back to another exciting video. We are back on the Ratty 1969 Dodge Charger, and we are fixing probably the biggest issue for me on this car, and that is the interior. Let's face it, it's a dumpster inside, but after today, no longer. Now, we've gave away a lot of stuff on this car in the past videos, and all the winners for the recent giveaway are right here. In the next 7 days, if you order something on the website, link in the description below, you will basically be a winner no matter what. We've got so much extra pieces of carpet here that I will give away with every single order, because this is the carpet that went into this car. You will see that in this video, and then one winner will actually receive the original armrest. This is the driver's side. I've been leaning up on this thing for years now. I've signed it. You will receive this if you order something. We'll pick all that at random. And again, if you order anything, you're basically guaranteed to at least get some form of piece of car from this Charger. So without further ado, we're going to get into this car and we are going to make it better and make it comfortable. Stick around to the end. Ladies and gentlemen, we have quite the task ahead of us. Now, what you see here is a culmination of me collecting parts over the years, as well as getting with Classic Industries to help out along the way. A lot of brand new parts here and a lot of brand used, but we're going to make the best of what we have because that's what we can do. That's just what we have in front of us. Now, first off, we have this brand new OER green carpet. This is what it would have had originally, but to combine that with a little bit of color, we're going to have some black upper door panels and the dash pad as well. We'll have some green and black mixed together. Over here we have the seat divider that actually goes between the back seat and the trunk. And then we have some flatline barriers insulation. You're going to see an install on that here in just a little bit, and I promise you it's worth it, because if you have a car that needs some insulation, it is quality stuff. And over here we have original door panels. This is what the car came with from the factory. Mine were just destroyed, and I found these at a swap meet probably 3 or 4 years ago, and I've held on to them ever since. Then in the back we have the steering column. Nothing wrong with it, just needs a good paint job. It's already got a new turn signal switch. Then we have an original back seat, and then my Brom racing seats over there that we're going to do something with. Starting out, we have a very disgusting interior. We recently replaced the floor pans, and then we painted the floor, but man, does it just look terrible. The dash is disgusting. It's all dirty, still covered in that original Oklahoma dirt. So let's get a clean, fresh start. As you can see, we have completely removed the dash pad, the cluster, all the lower padding. Everything is completely removed, so that way we can actually go in here and clean it up and paint it. So we'll mask off everything, mask off the windshield. Now normally I would like to remove this, but you can't do that without pulling the windshield out, because the bolts are up under the gasket. And that's a brand new windshield and a brand new gasket. I don't want to mess up either one of them. So that's how we're going to do it. We've got a lot of stuff to do here. We've got a whole lot of work ahead of us, but we're going to scuff it up, clean it, and paint it. To make this work, we will start with Rust Reformer paint. This is a good converter paint that will actually make it to where it's very easily painted and it looks very nice and uniform. The dash is not rusted through anywhere, but it does have a lot of surface rust on it that would take forever to sand off. So we're going to smooth it out, use this on it for the first coat. Second coat, we're using Satin Black from Rust-Oleum. This is supposed to be a good indoor and outdoor paint, so I'm hoping that it'll hold up to UV light, especially on the dash. I've used this in the past on my Challenger, and I have no regrets or complaints about it 4 years later, because it still looks exactly the same as when I did it. So I've taken a lot of the dash trim pieces off and I have placed them outside with me. What we're planning on doing is restoring these and making them look a lot better. I've taken them and scuffed them up, cleaned them. These were all originally green, but we're going to take this opportunity to break up the color a little bit, paint the smaller trim pieces black, so that way we've got a little bit of green, a little bit of black, and it's just not overpowering. I mean, these were pretty decent original pieces. The green is old, faded. It's not perfect, but we're gonna make it look a lot better with this. This is Duplicolor vinyl and fabric paint. This is going to be a flat black because a lot of this fabric and material here, this vinyl, it flexes a little bit, believe it or not. If you touch it or move it at all and you use regular paint, it's gonna crack. So we want to prevent that the best we can. And this stuff is super flexible, super durable. It's a great product. So that's what we're gonna use. We're gonna do probably 2 or 3 coats on each thing, and then we'll have it ready to put back in the car. It's gonna look awesome. The other thing we needed painted on the dash was this panel here. Now I'm going from the SC wood grain to this textured rally gauge cluster because I just like the way that this looks better. Biggest thing is I wanted to make this look really good and go black because we're going with a black dash. The wood grain would kind of stick out funny, so I think this will look a lot better. We're going to try and do silver accents with a black bezel. And the main thing is you would have to replace the wood grain, and I'm missing this piece. So I don't have this piece. I do have that piece and I have that piece, but you'd have to replace the wood grain panel as well as find this piece. I don't have any of that. So what we're gonna do is take all this and go one color. The black, in my opinion, looks a little bit better, especially with a silver accent, so that's what we're gonna do. All the letters are embossed, so you can go back and paint those over and make them look really good. Very, very simple and very effective. So what we did silver first, that way I can sand back where I want silver to appear. Hopefully it doesn't come back to bite me. We're gonna try our best to be very delicate in sanding this, but I think once we go back here and go and trim out everything and make it look real pretty and nice, it's gonna turn out pretty good. This is gonna be fun, I'll just put it that way. This right here won't be too bad, and this is just a nice little strip. And honestly, I could have just taped that off, but I figured if we're gonna do it all one way, we might as well just do it this way. So we might do that as a test panel because that's an easy fix. But I'm gonna let this dry. Gonna sit out here for at least an hour or two, because if you start sanding on it right now while that paint is still like tacky, it's just gonna gum up and look awful. So make sure it's dry before we even touch this thing. Can you remember this piece of trash that I took out of the dash? Yeah, it's not good. All this is cheap and it was thrown together. I'm not putting junk gauges back in this car. Let me show you what we have. It's Dakota Digital RTX. Their gauge cluster is probably the best on the market in my opinion. I have the exact same cluster in my Challenger. Everything is so nice on this thing. It's super adjustable. You can fine tune anything you want. You can do all sorts of different colors with backlighting options, different sending unit options. Everything you want and need in a gauge cluster is right here in this unit. And it comes with this little module here. It's really simple to hook up. All you do is put all your signal wires and plug them into where they're supposed to go, and then this unit plugs directly into the gauge cluster itself. It comes with little sensors that I've already hooked up. I've got the oil pressure sensor and the temp sending unit all hooked up in the car already, and we're gonna show you how to install this thing. So to make the speedometer work, you unplug your original cable, and you've got this adapter. So this screws right into the factory location. Once you get that started, it's just as simple as taking our plug here, plugging it in, running it up to that little box I just showed you, and you calibrate it to your needs. And you can recalibrate it if you have different tire sizes, different gear ratios. Very simple to do. So I've unraveled the harness here. You can see this is where basically everything goes for this engine bay. And what I've done is actually use the factory port for the temperature sender on the Dakota Digital. I've run my plug up under here. Simple as this, folks. You plug it in on this side, and then you plug it into that box inside the dash. It's the same thing with the oil sender. It's right there. You just run right into the factory tap on the original block. Plug it in, that harness goes directly through the firewall and into our Dakota Digital box. Again, super easy and super simple to install. Now we just need to do a little wire cleanup, and we're ready to go. We are officially and completely done with the gauge panel on the 69 Charger, and let me tell you, wow, that was a lot of work. All of this trimming out and making it look real nice took quite a lot of effort. It is not perfect by any means, but it is so much better than what we started off with, and I think it looks killer. Very original, in fact. I mean, the Dakota Digital gauges make that so much better. All my switches are in. It's all for the lights. Park, on. Got the panel dimmer. Oh, that's working. On and off for the flashers. Over here, we got the 3-speed wiper. So that's off, low, medium, high. And then the washer button. Sweet, everything is installed and ready to put in the car. Everything's wired. I can't wait. We got to put this in the car. I just love it. Everything about this is incredibly nice quality. And you know, just looking in the car, you probably couldn't even tell that it's aftermarket, and that's what's really cool about it. Now, this gauge panel is just sitting in here. I haven't screwed it in yet, but I wanted to show you what these gauges look like lit up. Ooh, ooh, oh, that looks good. Man, look at that. We've got the tick-tock tack in here. We got the speedometer. There's fuel gauge. I'll show you those in a minute. Temp gauge, oil pressure, and the battery voltage. Over here is some pretty cool stuff that we're going to show off in a minute when we crank it up. But I'm going to put it in demo mode just to kind of show you the capabilities of this setup. So I'm going to pull this switch, hold it down, and then turn it on. Now it is in setup mode. Now here's the cool thing about it. Whenever you're going to set everything up and you want to do any kind of display work or whatever you want to do, all your customization is right here in the app. So it's scanning for Bluetooth. I've named it the Charger RTX. You have setup. You've got all these different Bluetooth, lighting, display, readings, preset your odometer. You've got outputs, all these different kind of things that you want to do. You go back, you can do real-time gauges. So it'll tell you what your water temp is, your fuel percentage, speedometer, tack, oil pressure, voltage, everything right there from your phone. And now you can kind of see all the different color options and capabilities this thing can do. We have multiple gauge colors. Is that not cool? So there's a good green with a red gauge, or a needle, blue with a red needle. You have all your warning lights. Let's get a closer look at that, because you got to see that up close. And it's not strobing, that's just the shutter speed on my camera, I promise. But you can see, ooh, look at that green. Oh my gosh, the red with the blue. Ooh. So there you can see there's our fuel gauge, our temp gauge, oil pressure, and the voltage gauge. But this just shows you the capability of the full sweep of the gauge itself, as well as all the color options. So when I turn it back off, I have it set to barn find. So this is kind of a low, kind of a warm color. It's a warm white, as well as having the red gauges. It's not dim, but it's just kind of it's kind of inviting, I guess you could say. There's a full sweep. It goes right back to about 1,000 RPM. Again, it's not strobing, that's just my shutter speed because these are LED. That's telling me to calibrate my speed right now. We'll have to do that with a mile marker, but I've got my fuel sending unit correct, the temp is reading correctly, oil pressure reading correctly, and the battery, again, I still get a voltage regulator, but it is reading correctly. This is so cool. When I do a little baby rev, watch the RPM. How cool is that? And you can adjust where you want the red line to be, but the factory has it set at 5,500, so I just left it there. I can't wait to get this thing on the road because this is gonna be so much fun when we get it all together. But with that being said, we do have working lights now. All the switches are wired in. So you've got your headlights working and it'll dim at the same time. The steering column isn't in, so the flasher won't work, but I can at least show you the turn signal lights. So when I turn that on, see those little LEDs? That's like the factory would have done it. This didn't have a high beam switch, but you could actually rig that in. See that little blue light come on? All that's wired in. Super simple to make work. Our wipers, I have them wired in. So there's our low speed, and then there is our high speed. And then when I turn it off, it goes back to park. And it works. Look at that. How sweet is that? You cannot go wrong, because if you kind of price it out, if you do a restoration gauge set and still lose all this capability, you're looking about the same price to go all original versus having these RTX from Dakota Digital. My money's on this. If I ever have the opportunity, this is what I'm going for. So you can see I've already added in my radio bezel and the actual, glove box bezel is what you want to call it. This still needs to be tightened down, but I wanted to show you this because this really completes the look. We've got our lower dash pad panels all painted up, matching in that beautiful black. Oh, and we need to screw this down first. I just had to get a look. I have to, because that is awesome the way that stuff looks right there. It goes in like so, and that'll cover up that. We'll have to secure all that down in some form or fashion. I am in love with this entire setup. That's beautiful. Oh, hold on. I've got something. Classic Industries sent us this reproduction dash pad in black to match everything else. And I have to see how it looks. Oh my Lord. That's perfect. I don't care what you say. That is absolutely beautiful. You might not be able to get the full effect because the glove box and the glove box door are not on, but you can really, really get the idea of how this is going to look when it's all said and done. I love it. I absolutely love it. This is going to be my view. You know what? I can't complain. That is a beautiful view right there. Everything painted and put together. I mean, it's all sitting in here, but once we get everything sorted out, this is going to be probably one of the best looking dashes I've ever seen. I mean, something about late 60s, early 70s Mopars. The gauges, the paneling, everything just does it for me. And that's mostly original stuff. Besides the dash pad and the gauge cluster, we're reusing a lot of stuff, just refurbishing it and making it look nice. The good thing is, Classic Industries takes up the slack where a lot of the original components failed, where my original one was cracked in two pieces. That looks so good. Buttoning up the dash, but I wanted to get my speakers working. I wanted a nice radio. As you can see, I have just bolted in the factory radio, but I'm not going to use it because here's what we've got. We have the Mark II from Out of Sight Audio. This thing is a Bluetooth module that you can put in line with a factory radio, or do like I do and just have the original as a placeholder and this be your radio. It's got everything you need. I mean, this is just a Mark II, and they've got even better options and more options. If you want to go crazy with it, you can. This is enough for me because I just wanted to have the capability for front left, front right, rear left, rear right inputs, and it's got all of it. Simple installation. You run power and a ground to it, and then you just put it wherever you want. It's out of sight, out of mind. I'm going to tuck it up in here on top of the heater box, and once it's glued down or screwed down or whatever you want to do, it's right there. If you need to work on it, it's easy to reach. You can just go up under the dash. There you go. In the dash, I used a retro sound 4x10 speaker. The thing that's cool about this is that it's got two inputs. So you basically have two smaller speakers, because on these cars, you know, you had a weird harness and it had to come off the radio and it had to be very specific to work. And if you want to run a left and right channel, a stereo option, there's not a whole lot of folks out there that do it, but Retro Sound makes an awesome product, and that's what we use for our 4x10 speaker. And then back here, I just had some plain Jane 6x9s that I had laying around from another build, and they work great. So all that's wired in, and my harness already had speaker wire previously ran, so I just ran it up from the out-of-side audio in the dash, across there, down the side with the harness, and then pulled it out right there, wired in both the 6x9s in the back, again, just left and right channels coming out of the out-of-side audio panel, and it sounds amazing. If you remember a couple of videos back, the back power window motors wouldn't do anything. You could hit the button and it would just do this. Up and down, that's all it had. But what I did was I took some of Rogo's lightning bolt blaster. I sprayed every single gear, every single roller, every single track with this stuff and worked it back and forth until now it does this. And to keep it doing that, I'm going to use some of their penetrating gel lube on everything, because this stuff will stay on there and last. We want to make sure that this doesn't happen again, because the last thing I want to do is have to replace window motors in this thing. So thank you, Rogo, for making a fantastic product and making my windows work again. So the first piece of the puzzle, and probably the thing that I'm most excited about for the door panels, is this. This is a brand new upper door pad from Classic Industries. No words, man. Honestly, no words. Up and over. And I replaced the pins. I transferred all these from the old one. Ooh, man, that looks phenomenal. Remote mirrors working. Everything went right back in just like original. Look at that. Is that not beautiful? We have the upper door panel on, but before we do the bottom, we've got a nice little trick here. This is flatline barriers insulation. This is all pre-cut stuff, and it is specifically made for a 69 Charger. They have so many different vehicle options to choose from, and look, they even cut it out right here so you can have access to all the different pieces and components within the door. I'm only leaving these two open because that's where the window motor is in case I need to replace it. Everything else will just leave, but this is an exact fit. Look at that. They say in the instructions to take it and do a dry fit, and that is absolutely perfect. And this is super lightweight, because a lot of insulations that are aftermarket, super bulky. I mean, look at that. It's awesome. It has an adhesive backing. I think we're ready to go ahead and put this thing on. I'm excited. This is a one and done kind of deal here. Pull the rest of that off for me. Yeah, get that. This stuff is serious. Once it goes on, it goes on. Just kind of tap it in there real quick. And if it seems like it's, yeah, see, we got all these cutouts for the different holes for the regulators. That looks good to me. That is an absolutely perfect fit. Like, you couldn't ask for anything better. Flatline barriers, you make a great product. I've never used it before, but I don't see why I wouldn't use it for everything else from now on. Look at that. It was so easy. I didn't have to do anything. Didn't have to cut it, didn't have to roll it on.
10 seconds.
10 seconds. Awesome. You're currently looking at an original set of front door panels. I've got to convert it to power window switches here. You can see this is where the original window crank would have been, but you can see there's an indentation where the factory made this cardboard backing, and they actually made it to where you could just pop this loose and you've got the room for power window switches. Pretty neat. So I'm actually going to just take this with my razor blade. I'm going to cut it loose. So there's my rectangle that I cut from the back side. Now I can slide in my original power window switches. Look at there. All we got to do is bend some tabs on the back side. It's locked in place. That looks good. Now that we have our insulation, we can go ahead and plug back in all of our harness for the power windows, which is probably honestly the coolest thing about this car. I never thought they'd work, but they do now, and that's just fantastic to me. That fits great. Now this is an original door panel, don't forget that. So it's not perfect, but Classic Industries picks up the slack we're in other places with our door panels here. There you have it, folks. The door panel is completely done. I'm loving this two-tone situation. I think that's probably the best thing I could have done with this. I still want to, have some green accents, but not overdo it. And that is going to match perfectly with our dash. With the black dash, the green interior, black seats, man, that just really does it. You can't hardly find these original upper door panels for anything that's good. They are near unobtainium, but we have them here. That's so good. I'm excited about this car now. The interior is really going to be tied together. We got the door panels situated. Those uppers, gosh, they look so good. So I went through, installed the door panel, repainted my armrest, repainted this little spacer piece, basically cleaned up the door handle. And what you'll see here, whenever I got the car, this power window switch was broken. Classic Industries reproduces these. And let me tell you, I'm so glad to have all these things working. Let me show you something real quick. And with that being said, we have that new switch completing the circuit going to the passenger side. That's just one. And that's two. We have working power windows on this 1969 Dodge Charger. This is how much black trim we have to actually bolt onto the car. There's our lower dash pieces, our kick panels. This is a trim that goes above the windshield, glove box lid. This goes in behind the door panel. This is the other dash pad piece. These are the pillar panels. All of this has been converted from green to black, just to mix up the color. You can kind of see what the original color looked like. I like the green, but again, it's just so much green. But these might have to go because they're a little bit chalky, as you can see. The green material just falls apart. But I'm hoping that will look good. I've got another set if it doesn't come through. But regardless, we've got so much work going on. You can see I've just got a mess of stuff laying around here because what we're having to do is on these original door panels that I purchased, some of the trim, at least on the edges, was starting to peel up. You can see that. So what I'm doing is I'm taking some trim adhesive and I'm gluing that back down. Not that this would be a problem, but I don't want it to ever become a problem or have the opportunity to. So if we glue it down now, maybe that'll keep it from folding back and eventually, cracking or ripping or whatever the case may be. So we're gonna keep working our way down. This side is almost done. We're letting it dry and we'll go down with this side here. Briar's been hard at work. So you can see this is kind of what the original glove box lid looked like. He's cleaning off everything here. He's finished up the center console. I disassembled it and we're going to repaint it as well as put new carpet siding on it. It was originally green, but we're going with black carpet. This right here is going to get, you can kind of see where he didn't spray it, how dusty that sucker is. It's nasty. So we're gonna just do a little custom work here. No wood grain in this one. Yeah, sorry. I know you like it, but can't help that. So what we've got here is some carpet from OER, and there's a piece of trim that is going to go in between here. We got some black carpet just to match the center console here, and you can see the original pattern where it was glued from the factory. So I'm going to try and follow that the best I can. There we go. Feel better about that. And I'm going to take the tape off immediately as soon as I spray the glue on, because I don't want to get tape accidentally up underneath there. Don't need to cover up the holes there. I'm gonna stand here and hold this until it's done. So we'll report back in a second. Now this side, got a little more room to work with. Oh my gosh, stuff is serious. Remove the tape. Remove the tape. Tape is removed. So what we ended up doing was pressing it in tight, and then I took some vice grips and used that to hold it still. We're gonna do the same thing on this one. We're just gonna walk away and let it sit, because the last thing you need to do is sit here and start pulling on it and messing with it and wondering what's gonna happen. You can get that bug off your arm if you'd like.
Hey.
Oh, he's on me! No! That's a little heavy on this end,
Some
ain't it?
counterweight.
Yeah, that'll do the trick. Perfect. Well, we're getting ready to prep the back seat for paint. I would really have enjoyed to possibly recover these, but it's just the name of the game. We're running on a crunch, and it takes like, I think 10 to 12 weeks to get the back seat covers in, because of they're basically special order. So that's just how it is. I've got a super nice set of original back seats here. So we're just gonna dye these black and call it good. And then maybe one day we'll be able to go back and recover these in original stuff. But the good news is that all the material, the fabric is still really nice for being original, and it'll fill the gap, because right now the original seats were shredded. So these are just a good replacement to get it to the point where I can have a barrier, because when we were driving that car on Power Tour in 2019, I had no body plugs in the trunk, no divider in between the back seat and the trunk, and no back seat at all. So this thing was so loud going down the interstate. You don't realize how much louder it is without a back seat in it. It's amazing how much just a little bit of paint and a little bit of work can take you pretty much. Briar, you feeling good about it?
Yes.
You gonna paint this, or am I gonna do it?
I'll let you have it.
Okay. Before we can put the back seat in, I wanted to go ahead and cover up our package tray with this new cover here. And I gotta say, this looks fantastic. It covers up all that nastiness, hides our speakers very well. And here's the backing for the divider between the seat. What I'm doing is gluing on a pad of insulation, so that way it just has a little bit of sound deadening just to help it out. Here you go, Briar, and we'll hand you this half. All we gotta do is hang it in those hooks. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's it. It's coming together. I'm dying to see how the back seat looks, so we're gonna go ahead and slide it in. There you go. I don't think I got mine. I think you got it. Another issue this car had, besides being obnoxiously loud, was the floor would get so dang hot. I had no insulation, no floor mats. The way the exhaust had been previously, it would cook your feet no matter what time of year. It was miserable. So that is where I am probably most excited about Flatline Barriers making this pre-cut insulation. It is sound deadening, it is heat resistant, but the great thing about it, it's so light. It's very easy to kind of map out, and you can see what I did was I just took and matched it to the picture here. Simple as that. It tells you driver and passenger, front and rear, and we did exactly that. And once you get it laid out, it's very easy to kind of understand. You got your front pans, your rear pans. This is where the shifter cutout is, the floor hump. This is kind of where the back seat will sit. And you have all these different pieces that are pre-cut. And this will work for a 68 to 70 B body, but they make so many pre-cut insulation kits for so many different cars. But I just want to show you, look at this. Super thick, super great material, but it's very lightweight. A lot of times you see a lot of these barriers like this, they're very heavy. So you're adding, like, you can't even pick the roll up. But all this, the doors that we just did, I could carry it with one hand, literally. I'm holding this floor pan just like that. Well, there you have it, folks. The flatline barriers, it's all in place, and as you can see, it really wasn't that hard. Once we kind of figured out where things were supposed to lay, it just fell right in place. The only thing I had to remove was the dimmer switch. And its ease of simplicity of installation, you can't go wrong with this stuff. So I really would like to use this on future builds because of how lightweight it is, but it still has a lot of thickness and a lot of absorption for sound and heat. And I retain heat inside the car as well during the winter months. So I like it. Thank you, Flatline, for making a good product. I think what I'm most excited about right now is getting this carpet in, because I really think this is gonna tie together everything inside the interior. Oh yes, we do have to trim it to fit, but it's already molded to the floor. Oh yeah. And once it settles in there, things will get a lot easier for making it kind of fit the contour a little bit better. The green and black is really, really growing on me. There's the fronts. Let's see here. You go like that. You're gonna tuck up under the pedal. We'll have to trim it to get around the shifter. Pull that side out there, Briar, if you don't care. And we're gonna go forward, up and under everything. Up as high as we can get it. Yeah, we're gonna trim a good bit out. But you get the idea, and that looks amazing, honestly. That's gonna take a lot of work of trimming, but it's in there at least, so we can get started on that. That's a good looking back seat. Combine that with everything else. We've got all the trim and the dash completed. So now we're like, hey, what's next? I think it's center console time, and I'm really excited about that. Let's go grab it. And with the center console and the carpet exactly where I want it, it's time to make some holes for seats. What I've taken here is a screwdriver and made just a blunt end, and I torch it and get it as hot as I possibly can. And all I do is stick it right through the seat holes, and it does this. And easy as that, we have holes in the carpet. So there, straight through. Super simple method to making these easy to do. You know, you just go right from underneath the car. We're gonna put the steering column in, seat time. Oh, and then we're done. We are done. So close to being done.
Thank goodness.
Come on, get in there.
Can you pick up on it?
They're all started. Sweet. Wow. A lot of work. Shoo. And I get it, some of you folks probably don't like these seats. I understand it. It's not original, but we needed these seats. One, I did not have original seats that came with this car, and even if I did, they would probably look terrible. Two, these are reclinable and they have bolstering on the sides. That's exactly what we need to stay planted, because this car has a QA1 tubular front crossmember with full coilovers front and rear, and we are doing auto crossing. And if we don't have a good seat that'll hold us planted, then we're gonna fly out of the car. We don't need that. So this is a perfect seat for what we have in mind, and it's extremely comfortable. I wanted to show off the out-of-sight audio. So whenever I get in the car, say I crank it up, I'm gonna roll it over to accessory, and it automatically pairs through Bluetooth with my phone. So as soon as I get my music ready, I hit play. That's playing through the car. Not bad, huh? Good Lord, that gets loud. I like that. So now we can actually drive down the road and hear things. We can actually hear the radio, and it's gonna be pretty good. Because before I had to do a Bluetooth speaker sitting on the center console, and with how loud the car was before, near impossible. That is no longer an issue. I love that. This thing is awesome. The daylight really brings out all the characteristics. I mean, the steering wheel is probably the biggest thing that we have left to do. But other than that, the interior is done. And it looks absolutely fantastic. Out here in the daylight, you can really see that green just pop against that black. That looks so much better than what we started with. I'm very proud of how that turned out. We've got some beautiful interior, folks. Whole lot of work, whole lot of time and effort went into this to make it do what it is. But that green really does stand out. I don't even know if the camera's picking up how good that looks. We do have some final touches that we do have to take care of. I'm going to fix the steering wheel. We're going to get something else with that. It's just barely sitting on there right now. And there's just a couple minor touches. But overall, the interior is complete and ready to go. Over here on this side, you get the full effect with the black and the green two-tone. And looking in here, that's so much better than what we started out with. And on camera, I actually took these Brom seats that I have. They had white stitching with the white piping going up around the top, and I didn't like that. So we dyed all that black so it would match the back seat and the rest of the car as well. So we are really making a huge step forward in the right direction with our green and black interior. Thank you, Classic Industries, for providing so many great parts, as well as Dakota Digital for making this happen. I mean, I couldn't have asked for anything better. But to make it better, we're actually going to wash the car now, because as you can see, this thing has not been washed in, gosh, years. So I want to see how good this thing pops with the green outside and the green inside. Ladies and gentlemen, here you go. The interior on the Charger is completely and totally ready to go. This has got to be one of my proudest moments for this car. What a huge undertaking to make this thing look as good as it has. Again, we do have the steering wheel to finish up and a couple of loose ends, like a small trim piece up under the steering column, as well as, you know, buttoning up the dome light. We didn't do a headliner because that would require, or it'd be easier at least, to do the windshield and the back glass and pull all that out. That could be done later down the road. I'm not too worried about that. Our main goal was to make it a whole lot more comfortable, and by golly, it is so much more comfortable. And we do need to get some seat belts for it. We need to get, you know, just a couple other things buttoned up. But overall, this car is complete night and day from what it started out to what it is now. I mean, we had absolutely garbage. There was nothing good about this interior up until this point, and we have finally achieved greatness with this car. And when you walk up to it, you know, you don't see a rusty dash anymore. You see an actual nice dash. So that beautiful, clean, brand new windshield. You walk up, you're like, oh heck, this thing's actually really nice. Because that can determine a lot about a car. You can walk up to this car and you can think, wow, it's a piece of junk. I get that. I understand some folks may not really get why I would leave it patinted like this. But then when you walk up to it, you're like, oh, that's a really good looking engine bay. Oh, that's a really good looking interior. That's what I want. I want to preserve the outside as much as I can, make it look really cool. And you can still use it, folks. If it gets scratched, scuffed, doesn't matter. At least where I'm going to be spending all my time, which is right here in this driver's seat, I will have the most comfortable view. That is what's most important to me, and that car just got 1 million times better in my book. So here's my view with that ugly steering wheel. But the Dakota Digital gauges, nothing like them. No comparison whatsoever. And we have the out-of-sight audio that looks totally factory. You'd never know it until you turn the key on and you're like, oh, wait a minute, this thing actually has a really nice sound system in it. Who would have thought? There's a better look at our visors. All that cleaned up really nicely. Again, all original stuff. Rear view mirror cleaned up very nicely. Got all the trim around the windshield put back in. Our dash pad's looking great. Speaker grills looking good, cleaned up. Everything turned out fantastic. You see those wrinkles in the carpet. Over time, that'll go away with the, you know, heat and people sitting their feet down there. But the majority of this stuff is original. A lot of the stuff we had to reuse was original, and the stuff that was just too bad to reuse to look good, Classic Industries again took up that slack and made it so much nicer and took it to the next level. And the cool thing about this is that we won't feel bad about using this for a driver. It's comfortable, it's nice, but we didn't blow the bank out just trying to make it usable again. That's exactly the whole purpose behind this. I could look at that all day. And thankfully, when I'm driving this car, that's what I get to look at. Here's my view, and I love it. She's about out of gas. Oh man. Let's check out that tack. Yeah. Well, folks, I'm proud of this car. The interior has turned out way better than I could have ever imagined. And just seeing it with not trash, I just don't know how else to describe it. It's so relieving. I mean, to actually be in a car that you enjoy goes a long way. No matter what you do, as long as you enjoy the car, that's what's important. Doesn't matter if you have fancy paint, fancy interior, anything fancy, as long as you're able to say, I really love and enjoy this car. And now I can say that. I'm very proud of how this car turned out because the before picture is terrible. The after picture, not too bad. And it's very comfortable. It's very nice to just sit in here and enjoy looking through the windshield of my 1969 Dodge Charger. So with that, thank you guys so much for watching. Do not forget, order anything on the website, doesn't matter what it is. And you're basically guaranteed to get a little sliver of this beautiful green carpet that I'll sign and date. We'll toss it in the bag with your order. Also, that armrest, that's going to go into some lucky winner. We're going to pick it at random. I hope you guys enjoyed this video just as much as I did making it. Thank you guys so much, and I'll see you in the next one.